going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be reacting to my 2023 March Madness bracket from last year. As you can see, I had, some of my first brackets. I had UConn, my first ever bracket. This is the one that I did on my Selection Sunday stream last year, right after the bracket was released. I had UConn as my national champion, and that was my best bracket. The first one I made last year was my best bracket at 99.6%. But we are going to be looking at the one that I did on my YouTube channel. It is, at this point, the most popular video on my channel, except maybe this year's March Madness predictions might pass it. But that is the one we are going to be reacting to. 85%, not good, rank 3 millionth. I had Houston as my national champion. I think I mentioned it in my this year's predictions. I had, I was between Houston and UConn all year last year. I ended up going with Houston for my main bracket, and it came back to bite me in the butt. But here we are. I did have Arizona over Kentucky in this Final Four. And then I had Houston over UConn in this Final Four. So I had one Final Four pick correct in UConn. They went on to win the national championship. But let's go over and just look at how we did, in the first round especially. So we got Alabama correct, easy. I picked WVU to defeat Maryland. But I am a West Virginia fan, so you got to give me a pass on that one. I got to have some slight bias. It's not like I had them defeating Alabama or anything, at least not in this bracket. But, yeah, I did have West Virginia over Maryland. I did have College of Charleston over San Diego State, which was a huge miss. It was a close game. San Diego State went on to go all the way to be the runner-up of the season. And College of Charleston, they had it close, man. Honestly, I had them in the Sweet 16, losing to Alabama. That could have happened. If they would have got past San Diego State, I definitely believe they get past Furman. Just a high-scoring team that met a very good defensive team. Then I did pick Furman correctly. So you got to give me some credit there. I did pick a correct 13 over 4. I did not like Virginia last year. I loved Furman's backcourt. Ended up to pay off for me pretty well. Creighton over NC State. I had that. Was a solid pick there. Baylor over UC Santa Barbara. I had Mizzou over Utah State. And I did pick Arizona. Of course, I had them as my runner-up in this. So that was a huge miss as well. And they ended up losing to Princeton in the first round. Just horrible by Princeton. But here in the Midwest, I did get all of my first-round matchups correct except for one. We had Houston over Northern Kentucky. We had Auburn over Iowa. We had Miami over Drake. We did have Indiana over Kent State. We had Pitt upsetting Iowa State. And we had Penn State over Texas A&M, and we had Texas over Colgate. The only miss was I had Kennesaw State to upset Xavier. I remember Solly Boom, Colby Jones, and them boys at Xavier. I know the Musketeers are missing them now. But Kennesaw State, man, they were really good. They were really good last year, and they almost beat Xavier. That was my biggest upset of my main bracket. I was feeling really good about it. I think for a lot of that game, Kennesaw State was like within 2 points or even winning at points. So I don't think it was a horrible pick. It was definitely a close game. And if they were able to pull it off, I would have got the entire first round of that region correct. Then I did have Houston over Auburn. That was correct. I did have Indiana to make it to the Sweet 16. That was incorrect. I mean, Miami was just, I feel like a lot better last year than we thought, to be honest. We knew that they made the Elite Eight the year prior, but I don't think a lot of people thought Miami was making it to the Final Four last year. I thought Indiana with Trace Jackson Davis was going to go to the Sweet 16 and lose to Houston. And then Miami went on to beat Houston in the Sweet 16, which was my national champion. So that was a huge X. Huge Huge mistake there by me. I did have Texas in my Elite Eight, so I did have that correct. I did have them losing to Houston instead of losing to Miami. We did have, here's one region. This is probably my best region, right? I mean, I had UConn over Kansas, but, not bad. UConn over Arkansas. And then I had UConn over Gonzaga. So I picked the Elite Eight matchup there right out of this region. I did have Northwestern upsetting UCLA. That didn't happen, but that was a close game. I don't think it was a horrible pick there. I just really liked Boo Buie and company last year, especially. I feel like in this region I did pretty good. I did pick VCU to try to upset St. Mary's. That didn't happen. That was a bad pick. I had Arizona State to upset TCU. I don't think that was a horrible pick. It was a very close game. And yeah, the rest of them I got right in this region in the first round. So yeah, not too bad. I feel like the West was my best region. It was the only team I got correct in, both teams in the Elite Eight, and I got my Final Four team correct there. Then we had Purdue. I had Purdue going just to the second round. So not too bad, right? They lost to a 16 seed, but I was not one of those people that had Purdue going far. I had them losing to Memphis in the second round. If only I picked FAU, right? But I had the Memphis the Memphis Tigers. I had them all the way to the Sweet 16, where I did have them losing to Duke. However, Tennessee did come in and get there on that one. So, yeah, FAU I had losing first round, and Kansas State I had losing second round to Kentucky, which was awful. I picked Kentucky over Duke in the Elite Eight. That was such a bad pick. So bad. But, yeah, I did have that go on. But, yeah, as you can see, my bracket, not the best. I had one Final Four team make it correctly, and that was UConn. I had Houston as my national champion, which ended up not being a good pick. But as you can see, I do have, other brackets where I did do pretty good. I had a ton of brackets last year. This was my best one. So let's go ahead and take a look at my best one too. Why not? Top 100K, 93,000th. And we had the national champion correct, which was a big reason why. I did have UConn over Texas in the Final Four, and then I had Alabama over Kansas State in the Final Four. So still only one Final Four pick correct, but Kansas State did make the Elite Eight. Not a bad Final Four pick. If they would have beat FAU, they would have made it, and I would have had two correct. I did have Miami going... How far? I had Kent State over Miami. Oh, that was a horrible pick there. I had Texas beating Houston in the Elite Eight. So I had UConn over Texas, Alabama over Kansas State. So not too bad here. Definitely you can tell why it's my best bracket. My other Final Four team made it to the Elite Eight, so I got a lot of points there with Kansas State as well. I had UConn over Gonzaga, so I got that Elite Eight points as well. And yeah, I had Michigan State upsetting Marquette. That was solid points. And yeah, overall, this was a pretty solid bracket. And you can definitely tell why it was, top 100K, especially all those points you get for picking the champion correct. So that is going to do it for this one. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out this year's March Madness picks. This was the one on my, actually, I don't know if you guys want to spoil who I picked as the champion. That is not the one that's in my video, but make sure you guys go check out my official 2024 March Madness predictions. It is already up on the channel, posted earlier today, so make sure you guys go check that out. Subscribe for more college basketball content. A ton more March Madness content coming this week. And you guys, thank you so much for watching.